The following presentation was recorded live for the International Association of Square Dance Callers' 33rd Annual Convention. We take you live to the Renaissance Suites Hotel in Charlotte, North Carolina, where our session is just getting underway.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Michelle Jacobs. Thank you. Cheery group this morning. My name is Michelle Jacobs. We're doing a panel on handi-capable square dancing, and we're doing with Lee and Barbi Ashwill and Tom Miller, who has a handi-capable group in Pennsylvania. And Lee and Barbi were the chairman for the National in Portland last year. And I wanted them to come share their experience because we took a square out to Portland last year, and I figure we kind of wanted to take a different spin on our panel this year. Tommy and I have done it the past couple years, and we've kind of gone over how do you start a new group and different things you see and things like that. But what I wanted kind of to do this year is Tommy's helping out another caller in Pennsylvania, and he just started a group, and kind of how the steps he went through to get started and maybe some of the stumbling blocks, things like that, so people can get some ideas of possibly how to go about starting a group. And also I asked Lee and Barbi to come from their perspective all around, just sharing everything from last year, from not knowing a lot about it and what they felt, and just sharing, and how, the square dance world is really getting to understand and getting to see handi-capable dancers as people, and I think that's very important. So I am the caller for 2 handi-capable clubs in New Jersey. I'm also a special education teacher, so this is definitely my love. So, and what I would like to do first is, for those of you on the tape or CD here, we're going to be showing some pictures, but we're going to be giving some feedback also, so we can definitely share that with you here on the tape or CD. I have some pictures from my group as well as from the group that Tommy and Corey actually call for, so I want to go through that. So to meet the dancers, this is kind of like welcome to a night at one of our groups here, so you can kind of understand what we do, but who these people are. Last year in Louisville, the Happy Squares and the Olympic Stars came and did a presentation last year. There are 2 handi-capable groups in Louisville. And I think that made such an impact on everybody who attended last year, just because I think they got to see them as people and dancers, as opposed to when you hear the label handi-capable dancers. And it was an awesome experience for everybody. So I thought this year, let me show some pictures and share, and we can kind of go into some of the personalities and things like that, because calling for a handi-capable group, on some nights, I say the night of the full moon, watch out. But that's what any club you go to, so honestly, that's with any type of square dancing you do. So for our introduction, I just put, in this presentation, you will meet many dancers who are handi-capable. You will meet them and we'll introduce you to them, names, traits, that kind of thing like that. And the pictures that you're actually going to see are from the 100 and Stars, the Mercer Archangels from New Jersey, the Hakuna Matatas, and the Hilltop Square Dance Clubs in Pennsylvania. So meet these great dancers. So this is a large part of my group from Monday nights here. I run about 2 to 3 squares, but you can tell they're hams just like the rest of us and like to get in the pictures and everything. But when you have a group with handi-capable dancers, you have a wide range of abilities. So when we go into a little bit more of the personalities, you'll kind of see where some of the learning styles, you got to hit all different type of learning styles, and you got to think of, what type of learner are there. There are some people who are visual learners, auditory learners, the kinesthetic, tactile learners. So you kind of have to think of a little bit of everything. But this is the happy crew here. And this is my group on Thursday night. This one individual, this is Common. He kind of sits there. You think he's having a miserable time. He'll probably get up once a night, but that makes him happy, and it works. And actually in my Thursday night group, I have one dancer who is in a wheelchair. So that presents different issues when it comes to timing and things like that. Now this is actually with my digital camera, I can take mini clips. So it's not exactly the clearest, but you can at least see and watch them move a little bit. And then one of our goals with the committee is to actually put forth to make a video to kind of introduce handi-capable square dancing, so you could have a DVD or a video. They like to dance very wide. I constantly have to. They're very, very wide when they dance. Now this square has 2 individuals who have some mobility issues, and then I also have my dancer who is in the wheelchair. So you'll notice some different issues going on there than was in the other one. Everybody in the other square was definitely a lot more mobile and had a little bit easier time getting around. He's being pushed. He has a pusher pushing him around. It's actually one of our fathers actually comes out and volunteers and usually helps out. Now, Tommy, you can explain a little more. This is Corey's group in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, this is a group that a friend of mine has come to me, Corbin Geis, and asked me if I would help him get started with the group. And how we got started is this particular building that they're dancing is an ARC. It's an Association for Retarded Citizens, also called the Becky Sheets. We went to them and asked them that if they would be interested in starting a square dance program. And they were kind of leery at first, and then I kind of filled them in that, listen, I've had a group now for almost 18 years, and I kind of told them the well-being of how important it is these kids can get into a group and start having the mix of the sociability of the side of it. And this particular session here that Corey was doing was doing the birdie dance, just to kind of get them all so forth. Michelle, what do I need to do? Just right here? That's this one? Okay. And this is one of our helpers. This is how he dances even when he's in a square. He has his hands crossed like this. And he is just constantly mad. He's just not a happy camper. And but he's easy to be picked on. And he's easy, you know, I walk up to him, because as you can see, he's a big guy, and I walk up to him and I stand right beside him and I do everything he does. And finally he'll drop his hands, and then he'll take about 2 steps away and he'll bring them back again, and I go 2 steps further. So you constantly got to intermix. This gentleman here, Donnie, is probably one of the smartest kids I've ever met. He can speak 3 languages. He's a black belt in karate. He knows all the old actors of all the old movies, the old TV sitcoms. He's just a pretty intelligent client. This little girl here is now battling with cancer, and she is, as soon as we get into the square, she's one of the first people up onto the floor, because she said her life's too short, so she needs to be up there ready to get going. I would imagine that they probably run from the age of 23. You know, now there is a couple 13-year-olds, but probably up into their late 30s. Yeah.
When you're working with them, and this is Barbi Ashwill, and they're first learning, do you have angels who come and help if you don't have enough people to make a square or to make 2 squares?
Yeah, we definitely call them angels in this regard, because what happens is that some of these folks don't have the sense of left and right. So it kind of, you know, it's to guide them. So if you start a group or something like that, it's highly recommended that I would say you need some angels. And the thing about it is, and the good thing about this is that your angels don't have to be square dancers. I mean, and the reason I say that is because a lot of people think that when you hear the word handi-capable, as you can see here, I guess they're afraid of that word. I think they're afraid, and that happens the same when you start a group at home and so forth. You're going to hear people saying, "Why?" I mean, I've had that question. Why would you want to call for that? You know, those people, and these are human beings. You know, so in the past, I have gotten, and I use, like, some of these people live with their parents. Some live in group homes. So they have their helpers. They have their parents coming there. So I get those parents and I get those helpers involved getting into the squares. And it makes them, because they deal with these kids or these people on an everyday routine. They know their actions, they know their personalities, and they have a little bit more control. You know, to say, move to your left, hearing it from the person who takes care of these kids, they would respond quicker to someone that they wouldn't know at that particular point. So you have the option of either bringing square dancers in to help you, or take the opportunity to use the people that works with these individuals on a regular day basis. That's the group. That's just part of the group. These two here are inseparable. They always have to dance with a partner. This is Devin. And Devin, if you ask him what his name is, he said he's Mr. Wonderful. He's just a funny kid. I mean, they're in their personalities, and you know, with dealing with it, this person here, she never stops smiling, and this is Corey. This is Corey's grandmother, Kitty. So she comes in and helps with the kids. This is one of the parents. That's Devin, Mr. Wonderful's mom, Pat. Okay, and you know, so if you've never worked with a handicap, and I'm sure that Lee and Barbie will talk to you more about that. It's an overwhelming experience, and I have said this on my other summit, other years of calling and so forth. A lot of things have happened to me over the years as calling, as Michelle can tell you this. I've had, you know, these people have seizures, had cardiac arrest. I've been kicked, I've been hit, I've been spit on, and you say to yourself, why do you go back? And it falls right back to the same thing as, well, nobody else will do it. And I appreciate the reward that you get at the end of the night. They come up to you, they hug. The reward is their smile, as you see those smiles, and that's what it's all about. And that's the reward. Corey gets no pay. The 18 years that I have done it, I have gotten no pay. The reward is just having those faces while they're dancing, and dancing to the music, and having them singing. We get them up to the microphone and have them call. You know, so it's just a lot of work. I mean, it's that hour that we dance is so intense that by the time that the hour is over, it's like you just feel like there's a whole new cleansing, because it's overwhelming. And when you walk away and you see these kids walking out and they're saying, bye Tom, bye Corey, we'll see you next week, and don't forget. Trust me, we forget. They don't forget. These people are incredible. And stupid is not in our vocabulary, but smart is. These kids are smart. Michelle can tell you that with working with them. These kids, they're like elephants. They're just full of energy. And like Donnie, the boy I was telling you about, he'll come up and he's soft-spoken. And if he doesn't like something that you've done, he'll tell you about it. He thinks that it should be done this way. And then when he walks away, you say to yourself, you know, he was probably right. I mean, these individuals are really, really smart kids. But the reward is those hugs and the smiles. And I would recommend anybody that's not here at this meeting, that's hearing this on the tape and so forth, take that challenge, because that's exactly what it is. And I think what happens to a lot, and Stu can probably vouch for this as well as Michelle, that a lot of the callers, I think, are afraid to call for these people, not just because of them being handicapped, but because we're limited in what we can do. We're limited in our material, and of course there's a lot of callers out there that can't come down to those 15, 20 basics. And it's not about putting the material together to call for these kids. It's the point of getting these kids dancing to the degree that they can dance. It doesn't have an issue of doing anything with choreography. It's to make these people happy, you know. And are these people square dancers? Yes, they're a square dancer just like everybody sitting in this room. They're involved with square dancing. They do dance parties. You know, they bring refreshments. If they're living at home, their parents bring refreshments. It's just like a regular club. The only thing is that they're handicapped. So.
I agree with Tommy. I think anybody should definitely take the challenge. Now, if you say choreography, like Tommy said, how do you start with that type of thing? As from a caller's perspective, kind of go in thinking you're going to do a party night type thing and kind of take it one step at a time. But they love music. Half of them will sing and realize some of them are probably going to sing so much they may not be listening to what you're calling and everything, but they definitely get into it. And that's one thing, you have to learn to be flexible when you work with this population. And every group's run differently. Like, I honestly have never gotten any of my dancers up to call, but that's more from my inexperience and insecurities than, I said, Tommy's definitely got that under his belt and Stu more than I do. So, but I have my dancers help me pack up at the end of the night. Also, we're going to the Handi-Capable convention, which there's one every year, every other year, and down in Baton Rouge, and I let them pick, okay, what we get, every club gets to do an exhibition there. And what song do they want to do? They got to vote. I pulled out 5 songs, and of course they wanted to do ones we've done over and over and over again. And I said, guys, let's do something new this year. So we pulled out, and I let them vote between 2 groups and stuff. And it's their club, and I'm there to serve them, not the other way around. And I just think it's been a wonderful experience. I said, besides the fact that, it's what I do for a living, but my daughter, I started calling for my groups right before my daughter was born. So my daughter has grown up around it. So my daughter doesn't think twice, and they're part of our family. And that's how I see them. I work with some of them at night during the week, or I'll watch if their parents go away. I mean, they're just part of my family. I said they're like, big brothers and sisters. You asked about ages. I have probably from mid-20s, and my oldest dancer, and she just stopped dancing this year, was 73. Jules, she's my little Energizer bunny, and it was only due to health problems that she had to give it up, and she's as passionate about it as everybody else is. Different personalities. Tommy said about getting kicked and bit, and I'll vouch for that. Just and like I said, the full moon, anticipate anything. Some nights you just got to go, all right, they know all these calls, but you know what? We're just going to have a good time and just make it the KISS principle. Keep it simple tonight, because that's where they're at, and that's where the flexibility comes in. Some people have asked about timing. Is there special timing? Like I said, you could tell even in those 2 little clips I had, the timing was very different just because of the mobility problems with one square compared to the other, and they were dancing at the same time next to each other. So I kind of have to gauge and just be flexible, and like I picked my next call to pick the heads, while the other 2 sides who had the mobility problems, that way they'd have time to catch up, but the other dancers keep going. And it is challenging, and I think scary for a caller, because like you said, you have to think a lot more, I think, on the fly and be more flexible as a caller. And Lee and Barbie can share too, when I approached a lot of the callers last year for going to Portland, and a lot of them, Michelle, I've honestly never done it before. I'm scared. I would love to do it, love to help you out, but I'm very scared. And, I said, come check it out. I said, just watch them and you'll see. They're just having a good time. I said, come in and we have a set list of calls, so if we do go to a convention, there's like a set group so everybody's on the same page and stuff. So, and everybody realized going through.
I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but I have to run to another meeting. And I did want to comment because I'm Mary Hutchinson. My husband, John Marshall, is one of the callers who Michelle contacted last summer to come and call for the group out in Portland. And he was one of those who was scared. He had never called for a handi-capable group before. He wasn't sure that that was the right venue to give that a try for the first time. But he agreed to do it, and he went, and he loved it. He had a blast. And just to see the enthusiasm of the dancers, I love that you all were open enough to put in a hall for the handi-capable dancers. That's wonderful. Look forward to seeing that in the future, too.
Thanks, Mary. To go into a little bit more about personalities, the first picture was my buddy Alex there. Alex comes up to me at the beginning of every night. Michelle, if my staff's not here at the end of the night, you're going to wait with me, right? You're going to wait with me, right? And I'm like, Alex, what do? We go through this, and it's probably like 10 times during the night. Michelle, if my staff's not here, you're going to wait for me. And Alex will come up to me no matter what time it is during the dance to make sure that, and Alex is autistic, I could tell him when my birthday is, and he can tell me what day of the week it is. I mean, it's amazing. But for him, that's security. I'm not going to leave him stranded, and we go through that routine every week. Sandy. Sandy, I'd say, is one of her dancing's kind of up and down here. She's got a syndrome called Prader-Willi syndrome, and it means they eat a lot, and you have to, sometimes you actually physically have to lock, no, Tommy, they have to lock your food up at home now. Tommy's pointing to himself here, guys. But Sandy, actually, her body goes into a hibernation type mode in the wintertime. And she actually has been in the hospital for this, but that she loves. I mean, she's been dancing with me from the beginning and loves dancing and needs to get out there physically because you can tell she's overweight and she needs to keep moving and things like that. And so I'm glad, and she's been away for a while, but it's amazing how quickly she gets it all back again and keeps going. This is Jamie, and I'm not going to use even a special educator the right term, but Jamie's very limited in what he can do. I mean, even when it's time for refreshment time. Jamie, come on, go back and get a drink, you know, go back and get something to drink. And when we go on our trips, he's got somebody who's got to work on, you know, be with him for daily living things and helping him get dressed and helping him change and get clean. But Jamie, as soon as the music goes, he's rocking, he's ready to go, and he loves it. Brian, I call Brian my space invader. Brian will get right up in your face. Now, if anybody has a problem, or especially if you're not sure, some people are kind of taken aback by that, but just even as something to know if you go in, I'll guarantee there's probably one of those in every group. They'll come up, you know, that personal space we talk about, the field around you, they are not aware of that. So that's something, you know, Brian will come up, you know, get right in my face, you know, loves it. I mean, Brian's a sweetheart, but just realize that that could happen. Kathy's very sensitive to noise. So if I put it up just even a smidge too, I can tell because she starts getting a little agitated, and I can tell the facial expression starting to square, and she gets mad at people and stuff. And I'm like, Kathy, do I have the music up a little bit? But some people who have disabilities have what we call sensory problems. Like, you know, if you pinch yourself, you can feel it. Well, for people with disabilities, that system is not developed enough, so they may not hear things the same thing we do. They may not feel things. Some of them like need deep pressure to honestly feel something. I don't know if you've ever seen someone who hits themselves, and they hit themselves. It's honestly they can't feel, and it's that intense feeling that makes them actually feel that. So a lot of them, their sensory systems are either underdeveloped or even overdeveloped. This is my group of girls that just came out from one group home. I have a good mix, like Tommy does, between people who live at home with their parents and people who live in group homes, and some who live on their own with staff who come in and things like that. The two ladies on the left there just started with me in September, and they love it. They've been coming as regularly as the group home staff will bring them, and that can be a challenge unto itself sometimes depending on the agency. The group home staff can be a little unpredictable. It's not the girls, it's the staff, unfortunately. And but they're very limited in what they can do also. So sometimes you have to say, you know, depending on some of your dancers, I mean, just like any other group, we have our levels in square dancing, you know, basic and mainstream and all that. And sometimes I'll see, you know, depending, you know, sometimes I'll do, but I won't do it every night, but maybe once in a while I'll do a square for the dancers who can do just a little bit more. So they feel like they're getting a little bit, but they definitely, and a lot of them are, like Tommy said, they're smart. They know they're helping out the other dancers, so they kind of need their perks too. There's always a romance in the group. Always, like, I have one of the brothers, actually, Chrissy's brother has been coming out to bring her, but also kind of help me out. And he says, Michelle, it's like, you know, a soap opera here tonight. And I said, well, this is kind of normal here, you know. Sometimes you get the temper tantrum. I don't want to dance with him, and you kind of have to, you know, okay. Yes, that full, not always on the full moon. This is Kenny. Kenny is autistic also, can make awkward noises that you wouldn't be aware of. And there's one other picture of somebody very loud. Whoa! I mean, and he screams, and it catches you off guard. But that's something he just does. That's part of who he is. But Kenny is intense as all get out. If anybody screws up, he gets so annoyed. And there's Matt. Matt's my kind of oblivious when he dances, but he makes very loud noises. And he uses sign language to communicate. He's amazing. He knows sign language, but he'll spell in his hand. He'll spell the letters. So, I mean, he knows what he wants to get across to you. He wants to come up and communicate, and he'll physically spell it or write it on a piece of paper. He can spell and everything, but just can't verbally communicate it with you.
That's our Mr. Wonderful. That's Devin. Now, you'll have to excuse me because we get such a turnaround, being that we are working in a building that works with the ARC, the Associations for Retarded Citizens. You have to excuse me because I don't know all their names, because we get such a turnaround. 1 week, maybe 3 weeks, we'll get the same people. Then the next week we'll get maybe seven new people. So you'll have to excuse me. But this is Devin, and Devin calls himself Mr. Wonderful, as I said earlier, and he is quite a performer. If there's somebody sitting beside him and they're just kind of like in La La Land, he makes sure that he gets them smiling. He makes his facial expressions. He's just a funny individual. This is Alexa. She is the same age as my daughter. She's in 6th grade, and when my daughter goes with us on Thursday night, my daughter and her just bonded. They're just really pretty neat. But she is constantly has to be held. You can't let go of her for too long, because she just wonders, you know, just wonders. Now, this is you got to excuse me for names, but take a look at the facial expression. What a better reward than that facial expression. I think there Corey was doing a line dance with them. You want to do that one? They are people just like you and me. They have similar interests. Many of them have regular jobs, and they love dancing as much as we do. They love dancing as much as we do. I thought I was going nuts there for a quick minute. Okay. This was, I take it out, the first U.S. handi-capable in Michelle in 2003. See, a lot of people don't realize that there's a handi-capable convention for these people, and I just think that's really awesome. And if you notice the dress, they're all dressed. You know, Michelle works hard at what she does, and she does a great job. Does a really great job. We go on to the next one here, and we're back. It's kind of neat to watch these kids when you tell them to make a left-hand star and they go in with both hands. Or they'll get three that has you'll have one that will go in and help three of them get their left hands in. And as soon as they get the left hands in, he puts his right hand in. You know, and it's just funny, you know, to see that, because that happens in our regular dancing. I mean, how many times have you seen people walk in with it's a right hand star, and they'll go, and somebody would turn around. It's like, so, you know, so it happens even on our everyday dancing. Yeah, look at the faces. I mean it's just incredible. That's the end of it. Yeah. But how many here has never worked with handicap? Has never. Yeah, it's I think that there's an avenue there that you guys need to be looking down. It was awesome what Lee and Barbi did as stated last year at the National, and I talked with quite a few of the callers that called at the National last year, and they were just scared. They were just scared to go into the handi-capable room because they didn't know what they were going to encounter. And I would probably think that 99% of them, when they walked away, was like, wow, that's incredible. We had one caller tell us last night here at convention that he was just scared to death. He says it was a challenge that I didn't think I could do. And but when he said when I was done, he walked away. He says it was just an incredible feeling that he never had as a square dance caller. And you know, working with these kids for 18 years, the stories are endless, the hugs are endless, the smiles are endless, and that's what it's all about. And as you can see, it always fascinates me when I see empty chairs in sessions like this, because more people should be involved. But that word handi-capable kind of puts us to a limit. You know, if Corey was here, he would tell you a story that he was going out to do a square dance, a wheelchair dance at one of the hospitals in Pittsburgh. And Corey does a lot of wheelchair dancing, and he does with the pushing and so forth at nursing homes as well as with the handi-capable. And they were down at one of the wings, and one of the personnel said, "Can you go up to one of our wings and do some square dancing up there?" Corey goes, "Absolutely," thinking that it was another wing for a wheelchair group. He gets up there, and he goes into the room, and they had all the people sitting there, and it was the wing that for kids that were teenagers, maybe early 20s, that was weighing 600, 700, 800 pounds. And they wanted to get them into a square dance. Now, Corey says, he said, "What a handicap." And he says it was just incredible because here's people that couldn't walk 3 steps. So what he did was he did chair dancing with them. He got them tapping his feet, they're clapping hands, swaying back and forth. And so when you work with a handicap, there's a bag that you have to work out of. And you have to pull out a lot of things out of these bags real quick. You got to be prepared to deal, because you never know what's coming through the door, especially if you have, you know, a turnaround of people week after week. If you have the same group like Michelle has and what my group is, you pretty much know what you're going to get week after week. And yes, you do dread when there's a full moon. I look at that calendar and I'm thinking to myself, oh, geez, I hope it don't fall on a Tuesday night, but it usually does. But you have to have this bag with all these ideas, and you have to be ready to reach in and pull them out when you can. And I think that's what it takes to be a good leader working with a handicap. That bag has to be open at all times, and you need to be prepared. Sometimes it's overwhelming. You know, I told Corey, I says, if I'd have walked in there, I don't know what I would have done. I think I'd have probably reacted differently. I probably wouldn't have thought as quick as he did to get him into chairs dancing. But now he goes back. They asked him to come back every year. He goes back. And there are some that will stand up and dance and a whole bit. You know, he said, but yeah, it's just an incredible adventure. It's like a roller coaster ride. That's what I tell a lot of people. Working with a handicap is like a roller coaster ride. And from start to finish. And at the end of the hour, it's like the ride's over, and it's like, and they go home, and you get to rest until the next roller coaster ride comes along. But I would tell anybody to take that avenue and try that adventure. Take that roller coaster ride. If you like fast rides and you like surprises and you'd like to have, you know, that excitement for the 60 minutes or whatever it might be, take that challenge and do that. And I think it's awesome. I really honestly do. Yep. Microphone, please.
I'm Kathy Shacklet, and last year at the convention, Michelle came to the arts meeting after the convention, I guess it was, and brought her group. And the enthusiasm in that group said it all. Absolutely said it all. When they did something, they were all vocal and right with it. And patience galore with this lady. She has just done a marvelous, marvelous job. But you had to work with the timing with them that day. You really did. And my heart went out to her because I thought, oh, how frustrating that could be. And I'm not a caller, but I'm married to one who's pretty good. At least I think he is. Anyhow, I'm truly amazed at what you do, all of you that work with handi-capable, and keep it up.
Thank you, Kathy. one word to me that describes individuals who have a disability is they're the most genuine people. Like Tommy said, they'll come up and tell you like it is, but when they love you with their whole person. And, you know, there's a story, and I wrote thanks to Mike Seastrom, I put an article in American Square Dance magazine that kind of summed up our experiences at the National. And we did an exhibition, and those guys worked their buns off to prepare for that exhibition. And it was only a group of 8 and who did it, but don't underestimate what they can do. I had them doing Alamandars and Grand Squares, and there are those, and there's a dancer in New Jersey I can think of, he actually dances C2, but he has a high form of autism. So you never know where the boundaries are. And I have a couple dancers I would love to see if they could, but then some of it you need the parent support and things like that. But I have a couple I think could probably make it through mainstream. So you never know where the boundaries are. But I love this story, and it still makes me cry, so if I start, forgive me. But we did our exhibition, and I had a hard enough time getting through the end of the song just because I knew they had nailed the exhibition. They had done an awesome job. And I go to the back of the hall, and one of my dancers is crying. And I'm like, Kathy, what's the matter? And she's like, just looked at me, and she goes, Michelle, I did it. And to me, that just said it all. And I know, and Mary's husband, John, was around, and he had to walk away because it just tore him up so much, you know. But that said it. And Kathy had been having problems with it, and she worked and gave her all for that performance. And it was just, like I said, they are the most genuine people. And I would like Lee and Barbie to share now what their experiences were, because I think they can share a lot of the same things.
My first experience with the handi-capable was at work. We brought in some handi-capable trainables from the high school, and they operated our cafeteria in there. And these kids were absolutely marvelous. First cup of coffee in the morning, you'd go in and you'd say good morning to them, and their face just lit up like a bright moon, but they did a lot more for me than I did for them. And we were in Colorado. In 1994, we had a very large wheelchair organization in Portland. So we had a hall set up for wheelchair dancers. Now we have a very small wheelchair club, and we asked them if they were coming to the convention, and they said no, they were not. So we did not have a hall. Went to Colorado, and Michelle came up and asked about a hall for the handi-capable, and we said no, we're not going to have one. And she said, would you do me a favor? Would you go home and think about that? If you would set up a hall, I will guarantee you I will bring at least 1 square and probably 2. We went home and we talked about it and decided we had a hall that they could have. She asked us to set it up for them from 7 to 10 at night because they were also an exhibition group. They would get up in the daytime and do their exhibition part and then have their dance at night. She said they did not necessarily want to get up really early in the morning, so this worked out really great. I have the utmost respect for Michelle and Tom. I think they do an outstanding job with these folks. And just watching the faces of those kids, like when the exhibitions in Louisville, when they got done, and talk about being hams, they are, but man, they were into it, and when the applause hit, you could it just breaks your heart and makes you happy all at the same time. But we had some of our local callers. Michelle did a great job in contacting callers to see who would work in that hall in Portland. And some of our local callers said they would, and they had the fear factor too. But when they came out of there, they had tears running down. And man, I would encourage every convention to set up a handi-capable hall because they are people like us, and they are just marvelous.
Well, the only thing I would add to that is I would encourage all future conventions, all callers who can get out there and speak for this, to advocate that we get these groups to our conventions. We provide them a place to dance. I realize sometimes there are some costs involved because you have to have sound and that sort of thing, but as we know, conventions are based a lot on educational seminars and panels and clinics going on during the daytime. But those halls close down at 5 o'clock at night. So if you don't have an extra hall, I hope we can encourage future convention general chairman to look at the fact that you've got that hall sitting there all night. It's already sounded. You may have to move some furniture around, but I think if we continue to provide this hall so that we get these exhibition groups coming, it's fear of the unknown is why people don't participate more. And if we get them out there in front of people, I'm hoping that this will turn around.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions or anything I can help with?
You said they have their own national convention. Do they have one every year, or is it, I was thinking it was every other year. And what is the approximate attendance at these conventions?
Actually, the past couple of years, there actually has been one every year, because now California has a very large amount of handi-capable clubs. And they sponsored one in Reno, the one picture, and it was from Reno. And then we had one this past year in Vegas. So there's been one every year. I'm not honestly sure at this point in time if we're going to have one next year. But this year it's in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and then 2 years after that will be in Alabama. Up until the West Coast kicked in, it had been every other year. Okay. The attendance in Vegas last year was a couple hundred. I think we've had as much as almost 350 dancers. And, I mean, they save up. And part of the problem, I said it, and it's something, and I know USDA has been very good with their credit card program and helping to give money and things like that, so we can go to the national, but it's a big expense. And a lot of the groups, the one group from Alabama, I know they get a bus all the time. My group flies frequently everywhere we go. And most of them fly, and you got all that type of stuff. And then, you know, so it's a big thing and a lot of money. But like I said, but a lot of the family support when we go to these handi-capable conventions, you've got those parents you can tell that come out, and they've made all the outfits, and I mean, and our outfits are mild compared to some of the other groups, and you can tell on the ruffles and the stars, and there's a group down in Florida, and they have been dancing the Pensacola Special Steppers. They've been dancing for years and have been at nationals, I know, and stuff, and they did a patriotic theme and everything, and it was just beautiful and everything. So I'd say between anywhere from probably like 250 up to 4 can range depending on where it is and things like that, or if there's more groups happen to be located. That's one thing. And for everybody on the tape too, if anybody knows of any groups, we're trying to locate, just even so they are aware, you know, that there's a convention, you know, for handi-capable dancers, B, with the national, so we can get that out there. And also for people, if you ever have any questions, feel free. Please call the home office. Call myself. You know, call Tommy. Call anybody who you think can help you out. Even if I can't answer a specific question, I know people now at the committee, or they have a group. I know Bruce's group in Oregon. I've sent a lot of things to him for the wheelchair because I've only got the one dancer where he's got, you know, his whole group. So to me, it's about, you know, networking and everything, and that's why we've really been trying to work with the USDA and as many people, because there are many, many groups out there, and everybody benefits from this. And even, you know, like we said, thinking outside the box, but like Tommy said, his parents, and they end up learning dancing. I've had 2 parents at least continue dancing because their child has learned and they've gone on. So there's another avenue for getting more people in the activity, and if it's much more a family, like we know with the youth, if there's a family activity, and if they, you know, a lot of people with disabilities don't have as many avenues for things as we do. So if families know that they can square dance and they can do this with their child, and their child succeeds in this and is proud of themselves, and I mean, you can tell from, you know, some of them get into the cowboy hats and they wear their outfits every week, and I mean, I'll be honest, I'm horrible because I don't wear mine every week, you know, but I mean, they get into it, and a lot of the families, they love it because they know it's something that they do well with, they're passionate about, and, you know, what more could you ask for in that department? So, any questions I can address for anybody?
How many days does the convention run? There must be a group responsible for putting that on each year. Do they have a website? This would be a good form of networking too, because I know conventions now we're doing so much with our websites, and that'd be a good way to let groups contact you that way.
Thank you for bringing that up, Barbie. If you look, I'll say it on here, and also, I only brought one copy, but put in U.S. Handi-Capable Association, or the USH. We have our Handi-Capable Association, and Dean has the webpage, Dean Emery. He's kind of started this and started the Handi-Capable Convention. And he has the website. He lists every year where it's going to be, even if it's been on the West Coast and everything. Also, he's got his directory on there, and we've been working with them. So once we get everything all together, so we're all on the same page. He's got the list of calls, so this is definitely a good resource. Yes, there is a club that helps sponsor, usually geographically, depending on where it is. They try to get the club that's nearest in the location to help sponsor, just even for things with the hotel and things like that. Because, you know, the dancers definitely help out and setting up and everything. And when you go to one of those conventions, it's usually we have a banquet the first night, and everybody gets to, and there's some type of entertainment. And then we pretty much have 3 solid days of dancing. So, and usually, like, the middle part of the afternoon, because everybody poops out, they really kind of have to space it out. We usually have line dancing or something that they teach. Every group that attends gets to do an exhibition in front of everybody, so they get to show off. And also, what was the last one? Last year they tried something different, actually 2 years ago, where they taught everybody a call there, one that was maybe a little bit more like the next list. We have, like I said, when we go to these conventions, we work off the Handi-Capable basic list, so everybody can dance together. And then what they did was took one of the calls that was on the more advanced list, so if you've got more you want to shoot for, and we worked that with everybody and stuff. So it was nice because they got to learn something new. It wasn't just, and they all felt good about doing it, and they used the props. We did the grand squares and put the chairs in 4 corners, so they had physical and visual means, and it worked out. And like I said, and you have every ability under the sun when you go to the, I mean, you know, you figure one group times, I mean, there's like 12 groups that go, you know, so there's all different abilities, and everybody's out there trying to, you know, to help, whether it be angels or parents or whatever. But it's been an awesome experience, like I said, and the nationals have been, like I said, it's been a different experience every time I've gone. I said we've been going since '97 as much as we possibly could, and, you know, there, California and Anaheim, that was wonderful because there's a large population there, so they had an awesome hall there and stuff. So it's just been, I just really think that, like Tommy said, this is definitely an area that we need to look at because, like I said, they're, you know, as passionate about it as we are, and like I said, the big thing to me is they're genuine and they're people too. So when you can remember that, and they've got feelings and feel them as much as you do, or even more intense sometimes than we do, and you know, the more we can, like I said, it was between Portland and Louisville last year. I just thought, you know, even for me, just as a person who teaches special needs and wants to get out there and advocate for everything, I was just flying high myself because, you know, to me, it's getting the word out there. You know, we as a society, you know, look at people and think of what they can't do. You know, and this is something they can do. So I just think we need to get the word out there and encourage people to get out there, and don't be scared to try it. Like I said, I feel, give me far more than I give them on a regular basis.
I feel out of place in, this is Stu Shacklet from Brandenburg, Kentucky, but I do feel out of place in that I have not had a group that I've worked with like you folks have on a regular basis. I was exposed to a situation where the president of our Callers Association said, we have a group of people that are having sort of a round-robin thing for the Parks and Recreation, and we need somebody to go out and do some dancing with these people at one of the stations. And I said, sure, why not? And it's supposed to be free, you know. So I said, yeah, I'll do it. I'm retired. I don't have anything to do. Sure. So I went out, and it was handi-capable people. Now, the first 2 or 3 groups that circulated into my little area where we were dancing, you know, and again, you have to make those adjustments. You have to look at the group and find out whether you can or can't do this, and you have to think to yourself, yes or no type of thing. But anyhow, the 3rd group that came to me was devastating in that every one of them was in a wheelchair that set up about this high, and somebody was there pushing them. But we danced. Every one of them went through it. And it but it really touches you. It really does.
That's the reward we're talking about.
Now, the other thing that, let me get my breath here. The other thing I wanted to say is that I committed myself last year to the committee to print a booklet with all of the good stuff that y'all have here and make it available to anybody who needed it. Well, I didn't get any input except from Michelle. She sent me one thing, and here's the only thing that I got printed so far. You want to hand those out to anybody who wants one? I mean, there's nothing in there except a list of names of the people who have sent their names and addresses in. And then I talked to Charlie Wheatley from Louisville there, and he gave me a list of the stuff that he does with his group, and I've put that in there. But anything that you feel that is appropriate that would be interest for these people, I could put it into this little booklet. And there is no cost. I'm doing it from the foundation. The Kentucky Dance Foundation is doing this as our contribution to this movement, to try to get the interest out and get the information out to the people to see that everybody knows what's going on with this and see how important it is. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Stu. Yes, Stu was wonderful and volunteered to do that, so we were eternally grateful. So keep an eye out for that. We're trying to get together. We've been working really hard with the committee to find out other groups. And part of it's been, you know, we find out in square dancing we always don't do the best at communicating, and people have either moved or whatever, and that's been one of the stumbling blocks we've been hitting with the directory. There's been a couple of us working on it and finding that, you know, we've sent emails and everything and trying to, you know, that we're not answering, and then we're finding the groups are still there, but finding the correct person to get to, and so trying to find all those links. So keep an eye out, because we're definitely, you know, want to do the directory as well as, you know, like Stu said, helpful hints. What can help callers? You go in, you know, this is what you hit. What could you possibly do, you know, or just some ideas and things like that. And also a video. We're going to shoot for that, so keep an eye out for that.
If you want, you can write my email down, and anything you want to send me that you want to be included in this little booklet, send it by email to FDRC, and that stands for Folk Dancer Record Center, at AOL.com. And anything I get from you, I'll see that it's included as part of the booklet.
Thanks, Stu. Anything else, Tommy?
Lee Ashwill, I would like to say that you guys do an awesome job, and you do it right. As a general chairman, we have a lot of special interest groups who come up and they put their finger in your chest and demand, we want this and we want that. Michelle came and asked if we would consider it, and that gets a long ways. Thank you.
Thank you. Like I said, that was an awesome experience. I'm still flying off of that from last year. So,
one of the things I guess that I enjoy working with the handicap more than anything else is with the group that, and Michelle I know will vouch for this, and she'll agree. I know she'll agree 100% with this. Is that there's no politics. It is so wonderful to go in there, and you don't have to deal with the politics. You don't have to deal with the rumors and the bickering, because it's just this big bundle of sunshine that you got to deal with. And I think that's what I enjoy most. One of the reasons I enjoy most, because you can go in, you can get these people dancing and have them a good time and walk away, and that's the end of it. I would like to cover one thing, and is how do you get started with a group? We've done this. We went over this in the past several years. For those who does not have a handi-capable group, go to your Chamber of Commerce in the area, and I think that would be a good place to start. Not unless you know of an organization that deals with the handicap, or maybe group homes and things like that. Approach them with information like Stu just gave you. Find yourself a caller. that you think would be capable of calling for that group. If you can't find a caller that you can think that you're not sure that he can do it, find somebody that says, I don't think I can do it, and convince them and explain to them what the reward they're going to get. They're not going to get any other reward. What they're doing now is a square dance collar, that kind of a feeling. It's like a warm and fuzzy feeling type thing, you know, working with these kids. Approach, you know, if there's a center that these kids can come in and do artwork and so forth, ask them to add square dancing to the program. Take an hour's time. One of the reasons that Corey and I he wanted to go to the ARC was because, first of all, there was no program there. Second of all, he wanted to work with the handicap. And third, he says, you know, here's a hall that's sitting empty, so why not use it? And they said, well, listen, anytime you need this hall for anything, it's available. So we now do our Thursday night DVD in advance there. But we do the handi-capable prior to. So we're there from 5 o'clock until 9:30. Our group dances from 5 to 6. Then Corey does line dancing from 6 o'clock to 7. And then we do 7 to 7:30, then 7:30 to 9:30. So it's an ongoing thing. And the kids stay afterwards to do the line dancing with Corey. You know, so just not they're square dancing that first hour, but they're staying over and doing the line dancing as well. So there's another, you know, venue for these people. But sit down and, you know, with your caller and explain to them that choreography is not an issue, timing is not an issue. If it's somebody that's a newer caller, this is a wonderful experience for them. Just because they can put all that stuff to the wayside and see square dancing at a different perspective. I believe personally that working with these handi-capable people is that when you see them dance and the timing is not an issue, I think when you go and you call to, per se, the normal dancers, you appreciate the timing and you work at it at a finer, what's the word I'm looking for? You finer tune the timing issue. Just for the fact being is because of the timing issues not there working with the handi-capable. So that's kind of a neat experience for a newer caller as well as an experienced caller. But find somebody that does that. Find maybe a dance organization that wants to do a project. You know, find some high school kids that needs to get some extra credit to work with these kids. Find, you know, so there's all kinds of doors that can be open. If you need angels, so be it. I would first, again, go to the parents and the helpers to these people. Like Michelle said, that's a different avenue of getting people into the activity. We both gain from it on both sides. Sit down and find somebody and say, listen, here's what we can do to get more people involved working with handicap. If it's not in your area, then do whatever you can do to get it into your area, because I think it's important. And the more that we get out there, of callers doing the handi-capable calling for handi-capable people, is the more that we're going to get the word out that it's okay. It's okay to be someone in the activity to come back and call for the handi-capable. I've been doing it, you know, I've been calling square dancing full-time since 1976. And I've almost 20 years calling for the handi-capable. And I'm okay. It hasn't, you know, it's not going to hurt anybody to do that. I give that challenge to anybody. I give that challenge to anybody. And to stand here and to watch one of our milestone recipients have tears in his eyes about calling for the handi-capable, that's my reward. I think that's awesome. I think that's awesome. You know, and to put that challenge out there. And this is something that a true professional handles himself. You know, he wasn't expecting that. And he pulled into his bag of tricks, and he made it successful. And his reward is the touch in his heart that these people do that. And I would stress to the NEC, to any dancer organization, to go to the national conventions, the state conventions, and tell them how important it is that these halls need to be there. Grant you, not all of us has the opportunity to take people to these conventions because of funds. Not everybody has the opportunity to say because of the group homes and so forth, because they have jobs. A lot of these people have jobs, so it's hard for them to take that 4 days and go. But if we keep stressing that and we keep pushing people to go out and work with the handicapable, I feel that we can get this to have the mushroom effect. I think that mushroom will grow, and we can get more people to come to the state conventions and to the national conventions. Even if it's from 7 to 10 at night, because I know getting these kids out in the morning to do a demonstration or something like that is tough. When we do demonstrations, it's really tough. You know, if it's only a 15-minute demonstration, it's 10 o'clock. They're like, 10 o'clock? You know? So, but it was pretty awesome last year at Portland to look at the list of callers that went into that hall to call for these kids. I mean, some of our big guns, which was just pretty impressive, that they step up to the plate, and I was pretty proud of that. You know, I was just pretty proud of that. But I put that challenge on anybody's lap, whether you're a dancer, whether you're a caller, whether you're some sort of promoter, whatever it is. Take that time and just get a small group to, even if you dance once a month. You don't have to dance every week. Dance once a month. You know, take that time. If you have a hall that you're already paying hall rent for, and you're doing a Tuesday night dance, and you have the hall for a certain amount of hours, bring them in that hour before. You're already there. The hall's already paid for, so it's nothing out of anybody's pocket. You know, and ask the caller. I guarantee if you find a caller that will work with you, you'll find a caller that says, man, don't worry about it. You know, don't worry about the pay. Because you're going to tell him what his reward's going to be at the end of the night. I guarantee it. I guarantee it.
And society is the winner. Without a doubt.
I agree, Lee. Society is definitely the winner. And don't even think from a caller standpoint. I'll be honest, I was a dancer. And yes, okay, I'm a special ed teacher, but I thought, all right, at the pace these dancers were going to learn, that I could learn with them. And they were my biggest fan club. They were my biggest critics. But you know what? And that's how, so even encourage other people if you don't have somebody, because it is something, it takes, you know, a lot of patience. It takes a special person to do it. But we all, you know, if you reach inside, you can find that. But also challenge some of your dancers. Like I said, I never would have thought I'd be the one behind the microphone, you know, and it's just, you know, it's blossomed, but it's definitely been worth it in the long run. Also, in the handi-capable panel handout, and you can ask the home office for this, also some other avenues for developing clubs is also, I put websites for the ARC, for like the muscular dystrophy, for Special Olympics. If you go to the ARC website, the National ARC, you can put in the zip code of where you live, and it'll tell you where your local ARC is. So, and like Tommy said, a lot of the ARCs and different agencies, they have halls. So I don't pay anything. I use facilities, and actually for my one group, we use the local community center, and it's a beautiful hall. I know other square dance clubs, it's wooden, the whole night is beautiful. But because the ARC has the affiliation with them and everything, we get it. We don't pay any rent to it or whatever. So, and like Tommy said, his group's able to use that. So there's definitely, I mean, like I said, networking in different ways and things like that. Let's see. Angels. One thing I find about angels just to watch out for, sometimes angels don't feel like they're doing anything. Okay, and I've been trying to tell, you know, dancers for years, and I've gone the dancer route, because a lot of my parents actually, and you can understand, this is their time, this is their break. So I don't get a lot of parent support at my groups. I mean, they're happy that they're passionate about it and everything, but I've lucked out getting those few parents. But most of the time, that's their respite, that's their break, in which I totally understand. But angels, you know, in the beginning they dance with them, and I still have one couple that comes out to my group as often as they can. But sometimes a few people, Michelle, I'm not doing anything. I said, but just being there when that one person's going the wrong way, I said, believe me, is major help. So some people feel like they need to physically be doing things all the time, and, you know, having angels and people realize that just being there, you know, for that one person maybe just to make sure they turn in the right direction so they're successful is a big thing. And it's, you know, works out good for everybody. So is there anything else anybody would like to share, say, questions? Like I said, if anybody's got any questions or whatever, feel free, contact me, whomever, the home office. They will gladly pass it on. Any questions, even if you get a party night and you're not sure how to deal with it, we get a lot of inquiries to the committee and things like that about, you know, I have a blind group. They're asking me to do something. Like I said, if I personally can't answer it, or I'll, you know, give you my 2 cents, but then I'll help get you to somebody who even specializes in that area even more, because there's lots of opportunities. There's even camps, a lot of camps that run during the summer, and that's personally something I want to do is that time of year, is get a letter out, you know. I'm a square dance caller, you know, would you like me to come in and do something for your camp over the summer? And a lot of them are limited funds. Some of them, the old school I used to work at, I go back every year for nothing, and I do something for them, you know. But I love it because I get to go back and see the kids I worked with. But they want to keep the square dancing going, you know. So, you know, there are lots of avenues out there. So, as the theme of the convention says, think outside the box. So, thank you very much for attending.